Welcome, athletes, into another episode of the Gym Closet. If this is your first time listening, I'm just kidding. I'm here as always with...
I was going to say, no introduction today.
I know.
Am I just dead to you?
Amber.
What's up, guys?
And I'm Tyler. We're the founders of Krave Gym. If this is your first time listening to us, the Gym Closet podcast is a Krave Gym podcast where we talk about all things fitness, wellness, try to weed through some of the crap online so that you know what the real stuff is that's out there. Too much stuff out there to decipher. So if you're just coming here, join us. We have over 200 episodes of a bunch of really cool things when it comes to your fitness and wellness. So today, is there anything we want to start with inside of the gym at all?
Oh, I'm just excited for the race next weekend on the 25th of October. I think we've had 120 people sign up.
Yeah.
So it should be an awesome event for an awesome cause. So again, that's our More Than Pink 5K, dedicated to all people who are cancer survivors, currently battling cancer, know someone that's been affected by that disease, and it's for all types of cancers too. So everybody coming together. I get to go on the news Sunday morning and talk about it, which is pretty exciting.
That's
so I
awesome.
think it's drummed up some interest in the Des Moines community, which we're all about spreading awareness and raising money for a great cause. So we're excited for that.
Yeah.
And Live to Lift season starts here in a couple weeks. So I know athletes are dying to lift more weight and not do as much endurance.
If you want to participate in the 5K, we do have... we'll put a link below this so you can still join us. We just can't guarantee a t-shirt to be produced in time for you. We're going to have a couple extras, but if you want to still participate, you can. The link down below will get you in for that. And that's Saturday morning at 9 a.m.
9 a.m. And then t-shirt and registration will be Friday night. Pick up everything that
Krave Gym Waukee.
So we'll get details out for that.
And then, Live to Lift season is my favorite season, hands down. So we're going to be lifting big three. We're going to go heavy. So we're in that 4 to 6 rep range. We're doing squats, dead bench is a big part of our core program. Obviously, we're doing other big lifts, but ultimately, rep range is heavy rep range. So.
And with that being said, we're implementing something this season. Live to Lift season coming up is strength clinics. So we've had a lot of people come up to us and say they don't feel comfortable with the form or what they're supposed to be doing during different seasons. And so this is capped out. It's going to be a small group of up to 12 athletes. It's going to be on that Saturday or Sunday, November 1st or 2nd, before we start the new season at each Krave location. But we're going to have coaches there to guide you guys through those movements and what the expectation should be throughout that season. So it's going to be very informative, especially for those of you newer to the gym that don't have much experience with lifting and things like that. Take advantage of it because you will learn a lot within that hour. So there's more information. We'll send an email out, but there's also more information on our Facebook pages and then our team app for you guys to look into that and see if it's something you want to be a part of.
Yes, and so with that, it's going to be a slowed down session where we're going to go over form of the lifts that we're doing in that season, optimize what we can do because we are going heavy. So anybody that's newer to lifting, anybody that's newer to the team in general, or anybody that's been on the team for years and just wants to refresh what the lifts are and make sure that they're in perfect optimized form and all of that kind of stuff moving into it. It is a great opportunity for you to have a smaller group, a slowed down version of what we will be doing in the team sessions. So super excited about that. Other than that, today we are talking about 10 keys to fat loss. So, the first one that we'll go over with number one has to do with goals, but the timing here, we're a couple months from the new year. Oftentimes people want to wait until that January time frame to start their new goal. A lot of people have fat loss as their goal. And the thing that I would stress is waiting until that time is wasting the next 2.5 months. And so we train like athletes, and what that means is year round we have goals not only your initial goal, but then once you conquer that initial goal and once you're successful there, we're going to set new goals, and that's a big part of keys to being successful in the gym in general. And so number one key is set a goal. It's tough to hit a target that you can't see, and so make sure that we're setting goals, make sure that we are writing them out. We have a bunch of different options. We have season goals on our team app. We have on your cards, on your weight cards, we have a spot for season goals. That is so that you can put down your goal in writing, make it as real as possible, and then have numbers associated with it so that you can hit and see your progress associated with that goal. So in the case of fat loss, which is a lot of people's first step into fitness, is I'm just worried about fat loss. How can I lose fat as fast as possible? That's typically, a high percentage of people that are coming into the gym, maybe for the first time or getting back into the gym, is they added some extra body fat and now they're wanting to lose body fat. So if that's you, this is the podcast for you. Number one, set that goal.
And I think to go with that, even Krave athletes who've been a part of the team who've hit their fat loss goal or their goals, just setting a goal in general. So maybe that's still coming to the gym 3 days a week. Maybe that is, focusing on, we have a women's powerlifting meet coming up. So maybe that is incorporating one extra day of coming in and strength training, working on those movements. But wherever you're at, whether that's fat loss, gaining muscle, just being active, I think the whole world has come around this whole idea of like, you got to be skinny, you got to lose weight, you got to, have a certain fat loss goal. And I just think it goes both ways. I think we're coming to a point where people are going to the gym to train to be strong and for longevity of their life, but there's also that side that wants that fat loss, right? So wherever you're at, just find that and show up and train for that, because it keeps you motivated. Yeah. Whatever goal you have just will help with the discipline, I guess, versus the motivation.
Definitely. And I think a lot of it has to do with, as far as body fat and weight loss. I don't like weight because we want to gain muscle, and that's going to give you that toned look. That's that's all about. If you just lose weight, you're losing muscle, fat, everything. And so that's not the answer. The answer is, associated with that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But that's all to say, what we do at Krave is when you're training for fat loss specifically, oftentimes we get in our head. The cool thing about training at Krave is we train for performance, and we give you a bunch of different things to look at other than just the weight on the scale. Because when we're doing that, the not happy side effect is that you get weight loss when you are, going for a PR in the mile run, like we did this endurance season. When you're doing things, setting a PR lifting wise, that takes effort in the gym to see those performance goals go up. And by the way, when you're putting the effort in the gym, when you're putting the effort in the kitchen, that is going to be a side effect. You're going to have body fat loss, and that's the goal, not weight, but body fat loss. That kind of gets us into number two, is get in a calorie deficit. So I mentioned the kitchen. Most of the difficulties is not getting into the gym when it comes to body fat loss, but it is the other 23 hours of the day and on your active rest days is, how am I eating all day? And so getting in a calorie deficit, what we recommend doing at Krave and with our programs, whether that's, and here's a shout out, you have the opportunity to do one-on-one coaching for nutrition, for accountability, to do all of these calculations for you, or an FTP group that Amber's doing right now is an online course version of this where you get those calculations and stuff for you. Eating in a deficit is a super broad term, but you have to know what you're eating in order to do that. So there's a lot of different things that need to happen in order to eat in a deficit, because we have to eat food. We don't want to just starve ourselves, right? And so knowing what your calculations are, one, how much am I burning in a day? Two, what am I taking in a day? and then how do I make what I'm burning in a day higher than what I'm taking in a day, and then we'll go over some other stuff. But tracking the macronutrients and the calories, you have to know what you're eating. It's very hard to stay on budget, as far as like a bank, if you're never looking at your expenses and you're never looking at things that you buy and you don't know how much money you bring in. Nearly impossible to know how you're going to stay on budget cash-wise. Now, same exact thing happens when you're talking about food. If you don't know how many calories go out or are burned throughout the day, and you don't know how many you're bringing in, it's nearly impossible to get into a deficit. So we're going to have to track. We're going to have to know what we're doing, and we have all of those tools available for you. If you want to get into some of those groups, it's an awesome opportunity for you as well.
Yeah, it's been a great group. I mean, people will mindfully track. The people that have a baseline idea on what they're doing, they'll mindfully track. But when I have them start actually tracking with our group, it's crazy how many people say, I didn't realize this had this many fats in it, or carbs, or protein. Or they're like, I was trying to stay in my calorie goal, which is fine, but we got to focus on your macronutrient goals, so your protein, fats, and carbs. Because if we're under 1,500 calories but you're eating a ton of carbs and you're not getting the protein and fat, and I could talk about this all day, so I probably shouldn't go on this tangent. But nutrition,
that's actually a really good way to get into
nutrition coaching is so important. I always say you cannot outtrain poor nutrition. So you can show up at the gym, bust your ass every 5-6 days a week, 7 days a week, but if you're not fueling your body properly, you're not going to get those results. You're just going to overtrain, injure yourself, and then not be able to train anymore. So nutrition is where it's at.
Number 3, that gets us into having a diet high in protein. So protein is the building blocks of your body. It's the building blocks of your muscle. It breaks down into amino acids, which turns into muscle. That is what you need in your body. The cool thing about it too is it keeps you satiated, so it keeps you full. It gets that feeling of fullness in your body, and so it keeps you from having a bunch of different cravings and all that. So having a high amount of protein, you should look. Now there's calculations, and we give these calculations out in all of our nutrition stuff. But if you're looking to just get set, a good broad goal is 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So what that means is if you weigh yourself and say I weigh 200 pounds and I am, for easy numbers, 10% body fat. Now that would be 20 pounds of that 200 pounds, or no, that's 10%. So 20 pounds of that 200 pounds would be fat. So I don't count that. So then I take away that 20, and now 180 grams of protein is what I should be hitting. That is a loose number. It can go from 0.8 to 1.5, depending on your goals, depending on some of your stuff. But if you're working one-on-one with a coach, we're going to find those things out for you. But a good loose one is, if you're just starting out, 1 gram per lean body mass. So high in protein, we have a ton. If you look at if you just search protein on our podcast, we have a bunch of different videos talking about protein, and we'll have a bunch more. But number 4 is high quality unprocessed food. So in today's world of convenience and snack food, there's so much that is processed. We believe in 80-20, so there's still room for that, and that's why we're tracking. But we need to try to hit the most of our diet in a week is unprocessed food that we cook at home, or potentially like a prepping service or something like that. That will, if you're not a cook and you have no, you know that you're not going to cook at home or prep any of your meals, then that's fine. There's services for that. But just knowing that I'm eating whole foods, I'm eating, I don't like to say real, and I don't like to say good foods, because there is no bad and there is no fake foods, unless it's a plastic apple that is in my kid's kitchen. That's a fake food. Don't eat that. Then let's get into our number 5 for our keys to fat loss. Number 5 is increase your NEAT, which is NEAT, and that is non-exercise activity thermogenics. I almost forgot there. Forgot my A. So non-exercise activity thermogenics. Basically, what that means is that is almost more important than your exercise. If you're already exercising, you can just increase your NEAT. And what that means is making sure that you're getting enough walking throughout the day, making sure that your movement, you burn calories by moving that is non-exercise as well. And a lot of people forget about that. So parking farther away from stores and just having a longer walk to a store if you're going to a store or the office or whatever, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. There's a lot of different ways to increase that NEAT, but tracking and hopefully having, what are we saying, 10,000 steps a day is kind of our goal.
Yeah, 8 to 10, I would say.
Yeah. And so just if you're tracking your steps, trying to get that step count up, and if you can get on a roll with doing that, you're going to be burning excess calories, which again goes back to what we talked about before, making your calorie burn higher so that you can get in a deficit easier. So that's part of that, increasing your NEAT. The second one has to do with your metabolism as well, and this is number 6, is train strength. So we're getting into strength season. There's too many benefits to go over right now as far as the benefits of strength training, but training strength is going to increase your muscle. The more muscle that you have, the more calories that you burn. And so that is a good thought to not only, when you're lifting and burning some calories when you're lifting, you're also burning some calories when your body's recovering from that lift. But then after you recover and after, being consistent in strength training, you're going to have more muscle. That more muscle needs more calories burning to support it throughout the day. And so that will ultimately increase the number of calories burned for you. So all of that is a benefit for fat loss that oftentimes gets overlooked if we're looking at strength.
And with women, it's not true that you're going to bulk if you start strength training. Where you bulk is when you are eating too many calories and you're in a surplus. So you're bulking the fat because you're eating too much versus it's not because you're lifting muscle. So when I train, I try to think about how strong can I be? How much can I lift? Because for however many more years of my life, I want to have the most muscle on me as possible, because right now my metabolism's a lot faster. Okay, and so just the less muscle we have, like Tyler said, the slower your metabolism will be. The more muscle, the faster. So again, we're training for longevity, not just right now in our lives. But how can getting stronger, increasing muscle mass improve my life in the future as well?
Yeah, and if your goal is fat loss, to Amber's point, women especially, everybody in general, it's very, very hard to put on too much muscle. I've been trying for 30 years to put on as much muscle as possible, and most of it has to do with hormones. You're not going to put on 10 pounds of muscle in a year past your first year of lifting. There is newbie gains, and we'll have, I think we've touched on this in multiple podcasts, but I can't gain 10 pounds of muscle in a year, no matter how hard I lift right now, unless I adjust hormones and do some different things like that. But that aside, you can't just gain, you just can't bulk to bulk. You can't accidentally bulk. You're going to have to put in a ton of effort and a ton of pharmaceuticals if you want to bulk if you want to actually have muscle bulk, right? So for women, what is ideal when you're talking about strength is you want a certain look. You want tighter toned, and this is just coming from all of the women that have told us their goals. That's the look they want, and in order to do that, your muscle is what is your hangers on your body, right? So if you don't have any muscle, then everything else is just hanging on nothing. That's not the look most people want. So having that muscle to support your weight loss and your fat loss is definitely something that you need to do. Mm-hmm. So the seventh, now moving on to 7, is track your metrics regularly. And so this kind of goes back to knowing that you're in a calorie deficit. But if you're tracking your macros and you're tracking all of that, but above and beyond that, we need to be tracking our target, right? And so not just the weight on the scale, because that can be deceiving for a lot of people. But if we put together the weight, your body fat, your muscle percentage, all of these metrics that are calculated will help us see where the results are coming. The thing that people get tripped up on is if they have been training for a month and they weigh the same, but their body fat is down a couple percentages, they have to realize that there's more water in your muscles for recovery, there's more muscle, and all of that adds weight. What that doesn't add is body fat. And so there's a lot of different things that you can measure, but you have to do all of it, because if you're just looking at the weight on the scale, that can be deceiving at times. And so obviously if you have more weight to lose, it's definitely a tool that we want to use, but we need to use that with the all-encompassing metrics of all of that. And then back to nutrition-wise, knowing what you're eating, knowing those metrics, tracking those.
And that's why when we start FTP, I tell my athletes to take pictures of themselves, pay attention to how your clothes are fitting, because there's that perfect analogy or that picture that, a pound of, or 5 pounds of fat is like this, whereas 5 pounds of muscle is like this. So you're just shrinking, right? So the scale, that's still 5 pounds no matter what, but you should be looking smaller, clothes should be fitting better. And I always use that analogy because then people understand, oh yeah, the scale's not moving as much as I want it to, but I am feeling smaller and I do have less body fat, which is the ultimate goal, but I'm stronger, I feel better, I feel more confident, and those types of things, which are way more important, because the scale can be the worst thing ever for some people. When it's moving in the right direction and you're feeling motivated and disciplined, it's great, but there's moments where you do hit a plateau, but the plateau is just that scale moving, but other great things are happening to help you get to where you want to be.
Definitely. Number 8 is improve your sleep. So this is one thing that a lot of people just don't think about, and improving your sleep is going to help you immensely with performance during the day, with calorie burn during the day, and at night, because we do burn calories at night. Cortisol levels, it helps in so many aspects, and so there's a lot of different things that you can do. But the first thing that I always recommend to people is just understand that I'm going to work on my sleep, and if it's bad, if you're sleeping 8 hours a day and you 8.5, 9, whatever, you're sleeping good. Don't even worry about it. But if you have trouble sleeping, just concentrating on sleeping, getting a routine at night to help you sleep. There's a lot of different things that you can do inside of our Prime 6 challenge that we did that's very similar to our FTP group now. We had an entire lesson on sleep, and we'll push that out as well. But sleep can help you in so many different ways, too many to dive into right now. But the biggest thing that I can say as just the first step is just knowing that, hey, I'm going to concentrate on trying to get to sleep more, right? Put your screen down earlier, get to sleep earlier. Don't stay up watching that TV show or scrolling on your phone. Use that time at the end of your day at night to actually just go to sleep, and doing that and concentrating on that is the first step. And then there's a lot of other things that we can talk about too, but I think that first step is just concentrate on it if you need to, and get some of those things.
And magnesium, I'm going to plug that in. Magnesium is a great sleep aid. So if you guys have trouble sleeping, there's a lot of benefits to magnesium.
Definitely. So number 9 is increase your resilience to stress. So this kind of feeds off of the improved sleep, because if you improve your sleep, you're improving your cortisol levels. Stress is going to be helped with better sleep. So this is a great one after that. Stress is, I like to think of stress like everybody in life has stress. So we just have to figure out how can we handle it without it being debilitating. And so having a routine, if you get really stressed, getting your steps in, going for a walk, that's a peaceful walk, whether you listen to a podcast or whether you're just silent, having that time to yourself, whether you're into meditation and that stuff, that helps with stress levels. All of this stuff there we go. So just however you're handling your stress in a healthy way, hopefully.
Oh, it's healthy. We talk about you guys though, and then you leave and you're like, gosh, I feel so much
all
better.
The weight
the
of
stress
the world
is gone. Because we all feel the same. Right. We love our husbands so much.
That's it. There you go. I doubt that is the conversation. But yeah, so just knowing, how you handle stress. If you get overstressed, there's a lot of tips and tricks, and we'll talk about in future podcasts. We'll dive into this subject a lot more with some of the things. Did we do stress as a lesson in that group?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
Because there's just so many different ways that people handle their stress, right? Sometimes counseling. Sometimes you just need to go talk to somebody that you don't know to get that off your plate. Sometimes it is going for a walk. I think it's a good one because you got to find what works best for you. But I don't think that we talked in depth on that, so that might be a good podcast. That might be a good podcast coming up. So, and number 10, the last one is training conditioning. So we talked about strength, and now we're talking about conditioning, which what Krave is. We have strength and conditioning. Now, conditioning is great for acute calorie burn. So if you're burning calories while you're there, so during our conditioning side of our training sessions, you're going to be burning more calories while you're in the gym. Doing that activity, whether it's running, rowing, any of our agility movements, striking, kickboxing, all of those things that we do, you're burning acute calories there, as well as like if you're doing really intense HIIT training, which we do oftentimes, that then takes recovery where you burn calories for an extended period of time after that. But then on the strength side, you're not burning as much acute calories as you would from the conditioning. And so that's also a great little piece. It is a little piece because the conditioning is not the end all be all. You don't have to burn 1,000 calories and eat 800. The calorie burn throughout your workout is not your whole metabolism. That's not your BMR. That's not what you burn in a day. Primarily, you burn from just being alive, and your body needs calories to be supported throughout just breathing. If you sat on the couch and did nothing through the day, you're still burning a certain amount of calories, and that BMR goes into our calculations and all of that kind of back end stuff. So we'll work with you if you are working with a coach in that. The conditioning side is a good sliver at the top to burn extra calories there, not to mention the health benefits of having a healthy heart, healthy lungs. All of that is kind of to go without saying. But the cardiorespiratory element of health is also a great benefit. But when it comes to strictly fat loss, it's the acute calorie burn that can give you a little bit extra calorie burn. But I don't like to see people, and I've seen a lot of people do this, is they're like, okay, I ate an extra donut or whatever. And they're like, okay, so now I need to go burn 500 calories. That donut was 500 calories. Now and I shouldn't have eaten it. Now I need to go burn that. And that's not the case. That's why that donut can fit into your overall day if it needs to. And that overall day, and to stretch beyond that, your overall week's averages, that is what is important. That one donut, one ice cream, one whatever that you're eating is not going to make you gain weight. So you do not need to go and burn acute calories to offset that. That's a really what's the word I'm thinking of? It's a bad way to think about it. Convoluted.
Disordered way of thinking about eating is negative way of thinking about eating. Yeah, for sure. So that's number 10 is training conditioning and being as healthy as possible. So we have our strength, we have our conditioning, we have a ton of other stuff. So there's a blog about this if you want a little bit more details on our Krave Team app, or you can go to our blog page and check all that stuff out. We'll probably also send you an email, because what we're going to basically be doing is try to be doing as much as we are. We're doing it. I love it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a lot more educational content, but we're going to try to push it out all over the place, so that if you accidentally miss us talking on the podcast, then you can get it through an email or a blog or whatever the case might be. So we're going to get you a bunch of information. Anything else for today?
I don't think so.
Awesome. So those are 10 keys to fat loss. So thanks for joining us as always. And remember, you're an athlete. Live like it.